Hello everyone, welcome to Matinian's Kids. Today I'm going to show the gameplay by Nikita and Alexander. The game starts with pawn to d4 and the black reply with h6, and this is an unusual reply to the pawn d4. So the game continues. Knight to f3, g5, then e4, bishop g7, knight c3, knight c6, and then white continue to play d5 to pressure the knight and attack the knight, and knight to e5 preparing for exchange. So in this position, you can see that the white is better as the two pawn is controlling the center of the square, and the white has more activities. So after this move, the white capture the knight. Knight takes e5, then bishop takes e5, and now the white play h4 with the idea of attacking the pawn, and the pawn cannot capture because the is pinning the rook. So after h4, and the black capture the pawn, and now the white continue to aggressively and attack with the pawn to f4 and attack the bishop. Then black play bishop to g6, and after this position you can see that the white is clearly better because the pawn is fully control the board in the center of the chess board. Then e5 was played, and d6 trying to capture the pawn in the center, and now the white continue to play bishop to b5 and check the king, and after b to bishop to b5, and this is the critical path, bishop to c6, then to d5 and back to b3, and the bishop is controlling the square at f7, and with the idea of pushing the queen to attack the f7 square. So this is the critical path for the bishop to move. Then after this, king to f8 was played. If you move the pawn to c6, then the d will capture, and if the capture by the pawn, then the bishop will capture, and this is a check and fork the rook. So king f8 was played, then queen to h5, attacking the pawn and attacking the h4 pawn. c6 was played, then the d capture c6 and b capture c6, and now bishop capture c6 attacking the rook, and rook to b8, and now bishop to e3, attacking pawn at a7 and attack the rook, and with this the rook may be trapped. So bishop takes b2, then you have a long castling, and now rook to b6, and here d5, taking the pawn f7. And also can capture the rook. If you capture the rook, bishop takes b6, then queen takes b6, and queen to f3, then h5. So in this position, you win in the action. So after bishop to d5, then pawn to e6 to block the diagonal attack. And now bishop to b3 to the safe place. And here you can push the pawn to attack the e6 pawn and attack the f7 pawn. So d5 was played to bring up to strengthen the position of the pawn. But this move is considered weak because now the white can play f5 to destroy the pawn at e6 and attack the pawn at f7. So after this move, the white play f5, and now you have rook to c6, and here white made a very great move, an interesting move of sacrifice. Can you find how the white continue to play and win the game, and what is the idea that the white play? I give a couple of seconds to figure this out. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who love to enjoy the show, here are the great moves that the white play. The white used the knight to capture d5 pawn, and here is one of the sacrifice by capturing a lower value in the board. So knight takes d5 and hoping to bring more material to attack the king. So black capture the knight, e takes d5, and now the rook takes d5, attacking the queen. And here the rook can make a very brilliant sacrifice. If the queen move to a safe place, for example move to b6, then here you have a very brilliant sacrifice. Another sacrifice like rook to d8 and check the king, and the queen can capture the pawn and checkmate the king. So if the rook to d8, and if you capture with the queen, then the queen will just capture the f7 and checkmate. If you rook to d8 check, and if the king move to e7, then the white can continue to capture the f7 pawn and check the king, and then the king capture the rook. Then you can bring another rook into the action and check the king. So rook d1 and check the king. And here there was not much the black can do. If you defend with the bishop, then the king will just capture and checkmate. If you defend with the queen, then the rook will just continue to capture, and you defend with the rook, then the rook will just capture again and defend with the bishop, then the queen will capture and checkmate. So basically there is no way to defend the checkmate from the white. So after rook sacrifice, then the black move queen to e8 and to protect the pawn at f7. And now white continue to make another great move by playing rook to d8 and attack the queen. So rook to d8 was played, and here is another sacrifice. If the queen to capture the rook, then this queen will capture the f7 and checkmate the king. For example, queen takes d8, then queen takes f7 and checkmate. So after rook to d8, and you can see at this analysis, and the game is winning for the white, and white can make in 16 move around that. So after this position, the black play rook to c7, protecting the pawn again, and here the white could not prevent the mate in 2, and this is one of the very beautiful checkmate with the idea of pinning and so after this, queen to c5, check the king. Queen to c5 and check the king. And in the actual game, the black play knight to e7, and the white checkmate the king brilliantly by using the queen to capture f7 and checkmate. And here is a very beautiful checkmate, as the queen cannot capture the queen as it's being pinned by the rook. So after let's back to bishop c5 check. If you want to capture the bishop, rook takes c5, and you have the checkmate of using the queen takes f7. The same idea happened again. Queen takes 7 and checkmate the king, and as the queen cannot capture the queen. And with this, thank you.